I'll let the tech people do all things tech, audio, visual. I know nothing about any of that. Greetings, my name is Dr. Brent Lewis, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Associate Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at James Madison University, and I am very excited to join the JMU campus community and the Division of Student Affairs. Why did I come to JMU? Great question. I have a background in student affairs, and I also have a background in serving as a Chief Diversity Officer for an institution, and this position at JMU gives me the opportunity to marry those two loves that I have and engage with students, but also engage with the institution on how do we access the best policy for students, how do we give the best experience for students from a student affairs lens as well as institutional diversity. So it was a perfect alignment for me in my career. Well, it's hard for me to get to know the campus right now, Ava, but my favorite place so far is Duke's Dining. I'm a foodie, so being close to my office and having access to food quickly makes me love Duke's Dining. How can we become more inclusive as a whole? I think universal design will help us do that. When I say universal design, I mean diversity, equity, and inclusion should be in part of all of the campus. It should be infused into every fabric of what we do, from the policies to the classroom to student engagement, co-curricular opportunities. We should always think about what student population are we missing, what group is not engaged, and how can we do it better. That is inclusion, bringing people to the table, giving voice to those who have traditionally been silenced. I think I've always been a very open person with learning and engaging with people that are different from me. I come from a very small rural town called Eden, North Carolina, and growing up, I engaged with everyone in terms of race, sexuality, gender identity. You know, back then we didn't know the terminology, but I knew I cared about people, and I knew respect, and I knew being open, even as a child. So that has been part of my entire fabric from childhood to adulthood. Diversity, equity, and inclusion at JMU is not centered in one space. So there are a number of areas that connect to do this work. So part of my vision is creating a synergy amongst all of us that lead this work so that we're on a level playing field and students, faculty, and staff truly understand the work that each of us does and how it connects to each other for the campus community. The second piece is growing the DEI efforts within my units. So CMIS, the Center for Multicultural Student Services, SOGI, which is Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and Expression, and the Office of Disability Services, or known as ODS. Really looking at what do we offer students, how do students know about our units, what assessment is driving our decision making, our programmatic efforts, and our involvement on campus. I think that can happen in a couple of ways. For me, the pandemic has brought a lot of challenge on doing that, because in what we call normal, I guess, in our normal world, I like to be out of my office. I like to walk campus. I like to go to the dining facilities and meet with students, eat with students, go to programs in the evening. That, for me, that visibility is number one way of engagement with students. The other thing is meeting students where they are. A lot of our students are on social media, so that requires me to beef up my social media presence. So I'm open to learning and growing my own presence in those spaces, but really finding ways that meets the needs of most of our students to meet me, learn about them, what are their challenges, what are their passions, and how does that connect to the work that I'll be doing for the campus community. There are 11 working groups that range from staff development, faculty development, K-12 engagement, so looking at the pipeline for students of color coming from even pre-K into the college experience. We're looking at the student co-curricular experience. There's our economic reach, economic development. What does that look like in terms of racial inequities in our areas? So there's so many moving pieces of this work and so many people at our university that are really engaged in this work. My hope for this work is that we will have short-term, medium, and long-term recommendations and victories. Recommendations to say to the administration and President Alger, these are things that we think need improving. But I say short term because I want us to address things that we can address in the moment. There are changes that we can implement in the short term. So my goal as being a member of this team is to really look at those things, work with our campus community, and identify how we make positive change to meet the best needs of our students, our faculty, and our staff at JMU. If I'm stepping back and just really looking at the campus and the culture, who's engaging with who? Who's talking to who? Are we in silos? Are we broken out into groups based on our identities? Or do we see that people are really engaged beyond who they are, beyond how they identify? That's when we start to see that synergy and that looking beyond who folks are to build the connections, building the relationships, and a campus climate that is thriving and engaging for everyone. That's the work we have to do, where we can just look around and see people vibing, engaging, and thriving together beyond difference. When I'm not working on research or an article, I like to do some pleasure reading. I also am a singer, so I love karaoke pre-pandemic. Let's see. I was very involved in my church pre-pandemic. And spending time with my family has been another piece of me all of my life. So those are just some of the things that I would say I do outside of work. I have a couple of theme songs of my life. The theme song to the show, A Different World. That show was about college students who went to a historically black college or university. It was located in Virginia. That theme song of being a different world kind of guided who I became. I was always open to it being a different world and from different spaces where we all come from. And going to college, that was kind of the push for me to go because I watched the show and the experiences that they had on the show, and I wanted to experience that. So right now I'm binging Girlfriends, The Game, Pose, and I think it's called Ratchet. Hi Lydia, that's a great question. One thing that I think you could do to actively fight discrimination is if you are from a space of privilege in any of your identities, use that in spaces where marginalized people of color are not. So if you're in spaces where you have the ability to challenge things, give different perspectives, shift the narrative, shift the conversation, that is first and foremost a way that you can fight discrimination as a student. In addition, work with your peers on campus to organize, whether that's in student organizations, whether that's partnering with faculty in classes. There are a number of ways that as a community, students can help lead this charge. But I think the biggest thing is owning our privilege and using it to guide the work we want to do. I'm so excited I got to spend this time with each of you today. You took time to learn about me. I'm really excited to be at JMU, and this is really directed to students. If you would like to get to know me, please reach out. I am more than available to connect with you, develop programs, develop initiatives, and really talk about our campus and the ways that we would like to grow. My office is located in the Union on the Taylor side in Suite 300, or you could email me at lewis2b@jmu.edu. I'm happy to meet you, engage with you, and when life gets back to somewhat normal, do lunch, dinner, and those type of engagement opportunities with you. Go Dukes!